righty. First thing, let's we'll do the flag salute here.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, shoot.
Councilmember Collings.
Here.
Councilmember Klur.
Here.
Councilmember Stackfleth.
Here.
Councilmember Redmond.
Here.
Mayor Globman.
Here. Now on to special presentations and announcements.
We've got neither.
Just a report on the meeting that we had with the city attorney.
Oh, right. Okay, so we had a closed session hearing on, we were planning on agendizing the revocation of the Loges business license for non-failure to pay TOT taxes for the third time, and we've come to an agreement where they're selling the property. Chicago Title has language that they've agreed to adopt that will have them collect in first position any TOT and fines that they've accrued over time.
Any other departments have anything? No? Oh, Ken, please.
Really just for information, as you probably know, we've been trying to get some EV chargers installed, level 2 EV chargers at the city yard. We went out to bid on that. All the bids came in somewhat over what the grant had of $23,000. So I'm going to go back and negotiate with 3 of the lowest bidders and see if we can bring that number down by doing some of the work with city staff and supplying some of the equipment ourselves and have the certified electrician do the final installation. On the front for the large-scale charging station downtown, where we'd have the 10 fast chargers, DC chargers, we have not been able to obtain grant funding for that, but I'm currently working with Forefront Power out of Sacramento. They're going to help us go after a grant, a Cal EVIP grant, no charge to the city. And you'll probably be seeing that here maybe at the next council meeting or the one following that.
Excellent. Sorry, this was my mistake. We should have gone to public comment time first before. No, it's okay. It sounds like a very special EV charging presentation. So, but let's jump into public comment for anybody that has something not related to an existing agenda item. Please give us your name and location, although we're
And to let
pretty familiar.
first-timers know, I will be keeping track of your 3 minutes for you. Once you get down to 30 seconds, your light will turn yellow, and then when the light turns red, your time is up.
Okay, I am not a first-timer, as you all know. I am a Rhea, part of the Yeah movement. I just want to, kind of make a comment for the public. I want to thank everyone who came out to our last community dinner we had last Saturday. It was actually the best turnout we've had so far, so it's nice to see some momentum and people that are really showing up and they're excited to actually build solutions. We even had people come in from McLeod, we had people from Wairika, from Weed, and we even had a carpool from Lake Shasta, so it's cool to see like the whole county really kind of getting excited about this. So there were some questions online, so just in case anyone's not sure, often our community members, we saw a need in our community and we decided to step up, and we've invested our personal time, energy, and even money in order to help create solutions for the benefit of our entire community. This has come at an expense from our family, including we have children at home, so our kids pitch in and help out. Like, this is a community movement that is really carried by one family at this point. So in case anyone had any questions about that, we're just hardworking people and we've taken initiative to do things. So we have gotten a lot of outreach from the community that has thanked us immensely. A lot of people saying they're really inspired, they're excited. We've had countless people thank us for how much we freely share all the information that we're learning and try to give people ideas on how they can create solutions that'll benefit the community. But we've had a few outspoken people who, frankly, are saying things based on not having all the information. They've clearly not watched the content we've created because 90% of the questions they have are answered by just watching what we do. And there are oddly some people who think that we owe the community even more on top of what we're already doing, including buying free food for everybody and then cooking it and providing it, which to me is kind of insane. But one of the oddest complaints I think I've seen so far was that our website and our materials are too good. So thank you, that's my personal work. So if you think our stuff is awesome and it looks too good, that's me just doing a really good job. So I just thought that was a little odd. So anyway, so far all tickets that we've sold for our dinners have really gone to pay for events, rental space, groceries, basics. So far we've not even made enough to file a 1099 as like a rover dog sitter. So if anyone was like crazy about where all this money is going, what money? It's barely, not even really covered our expenses so far. So that also has gone so far through my personal business LLC. We are looking to set up a nonprofit, but again, as anyone knows, that costs
That's
money
time,
too.
thank you.
Okay, so thank you.
Thank you very much. There we go.
Namaste, yate, and aloha. Many of you that don't know me, my name is Clay Neil Pononui Hano Hano Afa Ihere Garrigan. But you can call me Afa for short. Here with the Yeah movement representing. We had a great community dinner. It was fantastic. I want you guys to all bow because people from that carpool from Weed took Mount Shasta City Ordinance, a tiny house on wheels, and took it to their city council. So you guys are the flagship pioneers and machete cutters in the jungle and making this all happen. Shastina Lake is carpooling over here to learn a little bit more. And we even have somebody that's on the board over there that's kind of in-house, assisting with bending some of the rules to let affordable housing come in a little easier. Like my beautiful one just said, we have a couple little 2 sentences to clear up a little bit. But number one, we do have an LLC. We've had many LLCs, but all the swipe and all the income that came online goes through the LLC. It goes for the rental space. It goes to feed 30 people. We anticipate it growing to 50 people by spring. We anticipate it growing to 75 people by summer. And by then, we're going to be talking about the 1% sales tax to save our police department and fire department and have informed voters come ready for November. And after that, we just got a consultation for nonprofit. We've made a big decision to go with a 508c1a church nonprofit. The consulting that we have is $500, and to do the paperwork is somewhere near $2,500-ish. So if anyone wants to know what the money's for, number one, groceries, number two, rental, number three, consultation, number four, pay for a nonprofit. All of that should be happening before now in spring. So that's the plan of where the funds go. And then we will be an official nonprofit in a little bit. So we think that's pretty cool. That's kind of the big news. So again, we'd like to just thank all you guys. Thank you for all your support. Thanks for listening to us. Thanks for engaging with us. And we'll see you later. I got another topic over here. Me and you, Ken. I got a question for you later. Thank you. Love and light.
Thank you very much, Alpha. Anybody else out there? Looks like a little interest. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Anastasia Sprout. I just moved to Mount Shasta in October from Sedona, before that Seattle. And it was so wonderful to come into town, hook up on Nextdoor, and see that something is being done for affordable housing. So I signed up for the first dinner, but I couldn't make it. And then I signed up for the second. I went last night, and when I was talking I was saying, what happens when people are sleeping outside in Mount Shasta? What happens when they're in their cars? And I was told to come here. So I have that question, and I'm just wondering, can you respond to me now? Just give me a couple of insights of direction.
Council comments, you can.
The Armory,
The Army is probably one, but Chief, if you want to.
Well, I've got the Heather, I can't remember her last name, she's the Director of Behavioral Health in Siskiyou County. We just had a meeting with her on how to provide services for unhoused people. There's housing available in Wairika, there's transportation, all these other services. So if you want to come, I can get you her information.
I would love that. Thank you so much. And I just want to thank these folks because it's such a morale booster to know that people care and they're standing up and they're doing something and we can join something. So thanks for your support of what they're doing, and thanks for all you do for the city too.
Also, I'm a Sedona Red Rock High School alum, so welcome.
Right on. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for that, and welcome to town. Thank you. Looks like we got at least one more here. Take your time.
So I just want to say thank you to you guys for what you're doing with the tiny house movement, for what AFA and ARIA are doing for the tiny house movement, trying to coalesce and bring together the community to make this a feasible thing. I'm a senior. I live on Social Security. I can't afford a house. But you know what? I think I could afford a tiny house. I think I can make that work. I'm disabled. I have a hard time with mobility. I haven't been able to go to any of the dinners so far because Soul Connections to me is like mountain climbing. I'm not ready for mountain climbing yet. But I love the fact that there are builders that are willing to build a tiny house, put in features that help people with disabilities. I love the hearts and spirits of these people. They're bringing together people who understand about people with disabilities, people with physical disabilities, people with emotional disabilities. And I just think what you're doing is really wonderful, because it used to be, when I was growing up, the American dream was to own a house. And that is so far out of the reach of so many people. And this brings the American dream to just about anybody. So thank you. And I specifically want to say thank you to AFA and ARIA. They've been getting, some detractors. But you know what? Nobody's going to be happy 100% of the time with anything you do. And I think the thing is, if they just came here, came to a community meeting, they would see that there's pure heart behind this. There's a desire to help the community, and there's particularly with you guys a desire to help the community. And I, for one, am incredibly grateful. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And by the way, I've lived in Mount Shasta for about 10 years now.
Thank you for that.
Hi, can you hear me? Therese Swenson, and I've lived here for over 50 years. And when I moved here, we had an alpine theme kind of established. And some of the reasons I'm here today is I see on this agenda an opportunity for me to ask for an agenda item when I see that you're going to be doing the repaving Mount Shasta Boulevard. Is that going to be in front of the city office? And is that something this year?
That's coming off the agenda. It's far off in the distance.
Okay, so then I'll bring this up anyway because I have an opinion about it. And I thought that was a good reason for me to get in here on that. So the Beautification Committee is going to be making some sort of update, and the Downtown Enhancement Advisory Committee. And I was thinking it would be involved with that paving. And the reason I bring that up is I'd like to make an agenda item about the pallets that are on Main Street, across the street from City Hall. Now, I know they were put there during COVID, and it's outdoor seating for the pipeline and the pizza place. But the amount of use that those get when they take away so many parking places for businesses, and when tourists come to town, they have to walk past people that are carrying pizza and drinks, and I really think the time is up for that, and I want to make it an agenda item because I believe that the time has come for that to be put away and us to go back to our alpine theme. John Thomas spent a fortune on his beautiful river rock exterior, and you can't even see it. And I do know people pay a lot of money to have space to call tourists into the downtown, to walk up and down. And I think we need to have an agenda item because there may be other people in the community. I have taken my 2 cents into the beautification committee, put it on the table. I've gone to the meetings. I've tried to speak about this for years. I said we could get some logs from the mill and roll those boxes around to where they have that parking for Ace, and people could sit there. Pizza is a takeout item. They could walk there and see the mountain and not be sitting there sucking down fumes from cars sitting at a red light. So I have a really strong opinion about this. I'm trying to not sound mad. So I'm asking the downtown enhancement, the beautification committee, the paving, all to consider this is something we need to talk about. There's at least 11 or 12 restaurants that have outdoor seating. So it's not fair for them to take up parking when their original agreement with the city was to be indoor restaurant. So anyway, I'd like to make that an agenda item. Thanks for listening to me about that.
Thank you.
I also want to encourage people that are out there watching, if people do come and watch the Zoom meeting, I think I have 20 seconds. If you go to your World Wide Web and put in Mount Shasta, California, in mountshasta.ca.gov, you can start seeing our agendas and our minutes. We need people to get involved. We need more
That's
people.
time.
We need beautification people and planners.
Thank you very much.
Canceling meetings
And-
because they don't have a quorum.
And her time might be up, but I would like to echo that sentiment. The more people we can get watching and involved, the better. So. Do we have any more public comment? Thank you. All right. Well, thank you to everybody that from the public that chose to comment tonight. Always appreciate the passion and the interest. Now, let's see, do we have any council and staff comments? I know we've got some excellent updates on EV chargers.
I missed that. What was it?
Yeah. Over here? You got a couple agenda items, but okay. Anything else, Chief?
Yeah.
Oh, Todd?
A couple things. Just an update, the landing, we had a meeting with the Rural Housing Development Corporation. They've agreed to take on building affordable on the east side parcel. We need to figure out the details, get something inked. They have a state funding source, combination of low-income housing tax credits and grants, that there will be a fairly big lift on the city's part as well to get this to happen. But this particular combination of funds not only pays for the affordable and, of course, all the infrastructure for it, but it pays for infrastructure beyond that particular site, as well as transportation improvements that will help offset some of the costs for the development of that, at least that east side portion. So we're continuing those conversations. They've got all the documents we have in terms of the land use covenant, the sign off from Department of Toxic Substances Control, and all the EPA brownfield cleanup stuff. The Powers Group has retained Tom Hesseldin. He's got preliminary lots laid out, and so we're moving forward, and we'll keep you posted. The daylighting of Castle Creek, we had an application in with Sierra Nevada Conservancy. Unfortunately, it was rejected this time around. There was $4 million in available funds. There were 22 million and change in requests. So we'll go back to the drawing board. They're going to be opening up the next round of funding in spring, and we'll be also looking at Prop 4 funding, which is the new parks funding, and run at it that way. And, you know, we didn't hit committee updates, but the LTAC met last week. One of the things that Ken and I found before putting out an RFQ for the renovation and expansion of the library is that local firms would have a hard time being able to put together a decent bid without actually having cost estimates performed for two phases, the renovation and then the expansion. And so we got approval from the LTAC to spend no more than $8,000 on having that cost estimate performed. And what this does, actually, it ends up, I think, being a pretty good way of assessing whether or not we can carry this out. We're going to have the two cost estimates that are going to be probably higher than it will cost in our market for two phases. And then from that, we can tell, well, with revenue we're going to see from library tax proceeds, whether or not we'll have enough money to, you know, to fund a loan to pay for it. And we'll have that pretty quickly. So before I put an RFP out on the street, Nolan Tam has agreed to meet with me on Wednesday afternoon just to get their advice on this, to make sure there's nothing we're missing. But then I'll have this out early next week. And I guess the last thing is, you know, I mentioned it when I spoke to the chamber, speaking to Rotary on Wednesday. I think we've got a really good opportunity. I think I've mentioned this before too, with the 250th anniversary of the founding of the nation and the 101st anniversary of the naming of the city of Mount Shasta, combining the two and making sure at least the 4th of July this year really reflects both of those, and we push that hard. Josh Thomas with Visit Mount Shasta is, you know, we're working on some stuff, but I'm going to pull folks internally together to kind of brainstorm ideas. If other people in the community have them, please reach out. And then we want to pull the not only the chamber in Visit Mount Shasta, but whoever else is interested to kind of, you know, we're kind of planning on the fly and want to get something in the works so we're able to advertise it in time for the summer season. And that's it.
To the chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned the chamber, but so Kayla and the chamber will have the ability to theme the 4th of July. So if they have enough advance, they can theme it 100.
Yeah, we talked about it a bit, and they mentioned that. I just want to make sure I'm engaged with them and we're all doing what we need to so we don't drop something.
Through the chair.
Please.
So Todd, the east side, we're talking east side of the landing, affordable housing. Can you tell the public how many possible prospective units they're thinking of?
Yeah, from talking to the county, from Danco and the regional housing folks, the sweet spot right now seems to be 40 to 50 units. And so we're working on the premise of potentially 40 units.
And what form are those likely to take? Are we talking apartment buildings? Are we talking duplex, triplex?
You know, we've got to figure out the right mix. I mean, part of where the power group is thinking right now, and I think we need to true this up, is that since Danco is a combination of 2 and 3 bedrooms, that they want to lean into more, you know, single family units, you know, and you know, and some additional bedrooms as well, but that seems to be what they think would be the untapped market. But I think we need to make sure that we're truing that up with the experts in affordable housing and what seems to be right for the county. And we've got a meeting with the Director of Human Services for the county, and I think she'll provide some pretty good advice on that.
Jeffrey? I do have one other question about the Lake Street project. You had mentioned a little while ago that there was just a little bit of back and forth going on still with Green Dot. I was just curious how we are on that, just to make sure that we're not running up against any deadlines with our STIP funding that we're hoping to combine with all that.
Do you mean with the repaving of Mount Shasta Boulevard?
No, sorry,
The
of the
lake.
Lake Street project.
Okay.
Just the finalization of the draft plans.
Right. I want to be careful because it's kind of a tense back and forth. They're out of money. One of the intersections that we've been talking about is Pine Street. And when they applied for the grant and when they produced preliminary assessment, it says that they will look at active transportation improvements along the whole corridor from the on and off ramp from I-5 all the way up to Rockefeller. And, during this process, they focused on Lake Street up to approximately Rockefeller, but mostly on Chestnut and on Mount Shasta Boulevard. And, again, out of money, but we've talked about we need to, at minimum, conceptually address that Pine Street intersection and clarify that and create sight lines that make sense. It's absolute key, and they're under obligation to do it. They're claiming they're not, and what we need to do is get this work done. So I'm trying to massage this in a way to let them know that we need to finish this, and if they've expended funds on this, if they're doing intersection analysis beyond what the original scope is, we might be able to amend the contract for a little bit of money, but it's got to be above and beyond what they've already signed up for. So we're trying to get the owner to understand that they made probably an error in not tracking their spending and losing the forest for the trees for what they promised.
Right on. Thank you. All right. Any other council staff? Chief Burns? Good. Okay.
Mayor and council, just an update. The fire department put an RFP out for vegetation management of the city property. That's under the CAL FIRE grant that we've already received. So I'm in the process of collecting those and seeing who's going to be able to do the work to the acreage that's required by the grant, and come back with a final person to council eventually of who we decide is the most qualified and the most up to date, as well as we did hire the engineer spot for the fire department this last week. So that position has been filled. Besides that, just day-to-day operations.
Excellent. Thank you. All good? All right.
Chair.
Yep.
So I wanted to speak about a couple items. One of them sort of a housekeeping thing. I was being invited to the LTAC meetings as if I were a member of LTAC. And just to refresh everyone's memory, prior city manager led the charge to end the involvement of city council members in the citizen committees. Right now, those would be Downtown Enhancement Advisory Committee, DEAC, Beautification Committee, and the Library Tax Advisory Committee. We don't have active transportation. It's just not in existence right now. And then the Planning Commission is a different entity, a different type of entity. So the reason he did that, led the charge on that, and I think at least two of us were here at the time, maybe three, he thought the involvement of council members was too influential at the committee members, at the committee meetings. They're supposed to be citizen committees, and he didn't like the way things were leaning. I was the liaison to the library, LTAC, so that ended. I don't know, maybe about 2018, somewhere back there. So don't invite me to those anymore.
Yeah. That invite was made here.
So that's just a clarification. And for those that were there, it was, I'm not saying one particular council member was a problem, no one here, but there was another one. So anyhow, if you're interested, private conversation. So anyhow, the other thing has to do with the drainage problem. For those of us that go to Shasta East Park or live in that area, the recent rains have really amplified the drainage problem, which we had a year, or maybe the last couple of years in a row. So that needs to be fixed. Which then leads to the future agenda item that's still, that's on the list about melding the drainage fund and the sanitary sewer fund. Maybe there's a little more need to be urgent about that future agenda item. Because that is if you drove through that, it's a major drainage problem. I don't know if you got a chance to. Yeah, I know you live over there, and I go to the ice rink all the time. So, anyhow, that's just more of a suggestion.
Please.
Ken, have you cleaned out has the city cleaned out the alleyway behind my place? Just because a couple weeks ago, the drain off was coming through and almost flooded out my building because the alleyway had mudded up again, and so then that diversion between me and Pepsi became the Rio de Janeiro, as we call it. So,
I will look into that.
and I was 15 minutes
tomorrow.
away from being 3 inches underwater. I got there just in time to keep from getting flooded out.
I will look into that
Okay, thank
tomorrow.
you.
I was unaware.
Thank you. Any other council and/or staff comments? Good down there? Okay. Moving on to committee updates. It sounds like we've touched on these just a little bit, but anything to add on any of these? Todd?
Yeah, I mentioned the LTAC. The DEAC committee, actually, they ended up having to cancel last minute.
And real quick, I'm just going to clarify for anybody that doesn't have an agenda in front of them, the LTAC is the Library Tax Advisory Committee, and the DEAC is the Downtown Enhancement Advisory Committee, for those watching at home.
That's it.
Oh, okay. Well, late clarification. Excellent. If there's nothing else on that, we'll go on to item 7, the consent agenda. The city manager recommends approval of the following consent agenda items. All resolutions and ordinances on this agenda or added hereto shall be introduced or adopted as applicable by title only, and the full reading thereof is hereby waived. A, approval of minutes, December 15th, 2025, regular meeting. B, approval of disbursements, accounts payable, December 15th, 2025, December 17th, 2025, and December 29th, 2025. Total gross payroll and taxes for the periods ending December 24th, 2025, and January 8th, 2026. C, Police Department Monthly Report. D, contract with Kimley Horn. E, beautification committee letter of resignation.
Move to approve consent agenda items A through E by title only.
Second.
All right. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, on to agenda item number 8. Let's see, the Mount Shasta Safety Action Plan, and it looks like we're going to have our city manager, Todd, talk about this one.
Yeah. So on December 15th, we had Kimley Horn, the consultant on this project. They've been funded through federal Safe Streets for All money to do a comprehensive analysis, walk through everything from geometric issues, potential policy issues, enforcement issues, and understanding the whole lay of the land and creating a plan that points out where our particular problem areas are and the recommendations of how to make these areas better. what this does for us with having this safety action plan in place. It makes us more competitive for grants. It allows us to prioritize spending into the future on actual geometric fixes, anything that involves engineering and some cost. It allows us to take a look at things that we can do in the short term in terms of additional enforcement or in terms of policy changes to make it safer for all modes of travel. And on the meeting, again in December, Kimley Horn presented that draft final plan. There were just a couple requests for edits. What Kimley Horn has done has added a caveat into the document that says that, because we're looking at a very small N or number, if you remember your statistics, we've got a very small population, so one crash skews our numbers inordinately in comparison to a larger city. And there was a discrepancy, a perceived discrepancy in a statistics, a crash statistic, that they clarified that the two statistics are correct, but they refer to two different things. They made those changes. No other substantive changes were made, and so we're looking for the final adoption of this plan tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Todd. All right, move on to council questions. Jeffrey, Tessa, John, or the Johns? No? I have one question. I noticed that in the contract it specifies that it applies for up to one public meeting directed by Kimley Horn. Is there any chance, would it delay things significantly to get that changed to no less than one meeting, just to get as much public input as possible? If that's not possible, I understand.
Well, remember we had invited working groups, and we also had their presentation at council the last time, so they've kind of done more than one. And they did significant public outreach at the farmers market and at and at the park over the summer. So they've really, and plus the information we had on our website and the ability for people to comment on it. I think we've had, plus the group you were involved in, we've had a lot of really great input, and we really appreciate everybody that's come out or offered comments on it. But I think we've got a pretty comprehensive plan that has significant community input.
That's fair. All right, if there's no more questions from council, then I'd like to invite public comment on this issue. Anybody raring to go out there? All right, doesn't seem like it. Okay, well, in that case, we'll bring it back to discussion. I guess we'll start on this end over here. Anybody got anything? Okay, yeah.
Well,
all right, we got one.
Just to clarify for the public, this is a draft safety plan. There's not going to be a redo of this, or is this final?
Kimley Horn.
I mean, it's really long, right?
Yeah.
So,
trust me.
are we going to revisit this, or is this the plan we're supposed to base
this is
future construction? Go apply for grants, get the construction money, et cetera?
Yeah, it is. It is.
I guess what I'm getting at is, do we need to do more planning similar to what they've already done? Or is this the final safety plan?
Well, no more
recommendation?
than if we, where they identify geometric fixes, if we somehow come into magic money and the intersection that rises to the top of needing that engineering fix, of course, we would need to engage in plan specifications and engineering to get that project buildable. But above and beyond that, this is about as comprehensive as we're going to get in pointing them
And then for
out.
the public, because it's a long read.
It is.
There's at least 3 roundabouts in there, for those who are fans of roundabouts.
4,000 apiece. Yes, I know how to drive one.
4 million apiece, aren't they? Yeah. No, they're not cheap, but anyhow, fun stuff.
And just to go back to a point that was made by a member of the public earlier, she's left since, but for anybody else, if you look at on page 53 of the agenda here and on the agenda packet, it actually does provide a timeline for the construction itself. So if you are curious about it, it's got a, like from now through the end of the project of December 2027. It does have like a step-by-step timeline if anyone's curious to check that out. It's very comprehensive, as Todd said, so.
Okay, so we're just accepting the plan, and it wasn't set up as a resolution, CCR, right?
Yeah, I've got a text from Daryl with Kimley Horn, and he says the plan probably should be updated every 5 years, and the only addition is that the website that we have up is still maintained, and we can continue to keep it open and take additional comments, and we can adjust accordingly if there's something actionable.
All right, I'm going to move to approve and adopt the Mount Shasta Safety Action Plan produced by the consulting firm Kimley Horn.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Yeah. Okay, excellent. Moving on to agenda item number 9, Great Northern Services Community Development Block Grant Subrecipient Agreement. And we'll have an intro here from City Manager Todd.
Okay, we need to pull this item from the agenda. There was an old staff report that's placed on here for the paving of Mount Shasta Boulevard. That was already approved by us earlier. What we meant to have on here is a combination of creation of a micro enterprise loan program, and to also to continue for the final year senior snow removal. Talking to Brandy over at Great Northern today, we realized that we probably don't want to continue with senior snow removal, because here's what's going to happen. We have to show that we've had an inordinate and extremely unlikely amount of snowfall by the end of January, or this is going to be kicked out. And then that's money that we can't use for other CDBG sources. So we're public noticing this for the first meeting in February, just for micro enterprise, and we'll bring it back for that first meeting in February.
Claire, oh, go ahead.
Does that clear as mud, or should I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is about the grant application for planning and the repaving of Mount Shasta Boulevard, which you claim has already been cleared.
Yeah.
That was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yep. So this is a...
No, I mean, it was even before that. Does this go back to...
It was, I think, November.
Of 2025?
Of 2025.
Okay, so I'm thinking of one previously.
Yeah.
That where I had to go sign a bunch of papers.
Right.
But that was in 2024. So
that was our first round, and
right.
We couldn't.
And there was a problem with...
We had audit findings.
Yeah.
I have a clarifying question on this. With the senior snow removal, I don't think we'll be able to prove that there's significant snowfall by the end of January. But there is pretty compelling evidence that March may come in as a strong snowfall this year. What's that? No, you're good. There's no consideration of what happens later. It's just based on the early season snowfall.
The application grading is snowfall up until the end of January 2026 is what they take into account.
not going to have any.
Okay, so what I'm looking to get out of this agenda item, are we going to reschedule this, or?
Yeah, we're rescheduling for the first meeting in February.
All right, so I'll move to reschedule the agenda item number 9 to the first meeting in February.
All those in favor of rescheduling? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay. All right, on to number 10, taxi inspection ordinance, and I believe this is going to be Chief Gibson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. During the review of the city fee update, it was discovered that in our taxi ordinance, we had no provision for the annual inspection of taxi cabs operating within the city of Mount Shasta as required by California Government Code Section 53075.5, subsection 5. This law basically requires all taxi companies to have their vehicles inspected every year to ensure safe operating conditions of those vehicles in compliance with the California Vehicle Code. This added ordinance section will bring the city's taxi cab ordinance that we currently have up to conform with California law and provide a comprehensive list of what is going to be inspected, so there's no ambiguity he tried to pronounce but couldn't with the companies and stuff. This inspection will be done by a member of the Mount Shasta Police Department, and it will require that the taxi company keep a copy of this inspection in their vehicle to present to a passenger at request, which again is state law. They have to show up. The fees for this will be set at a later date when we bring the fee ordinance here by a resolution of the council. And again, this will allow us to now be able to comply with state law, do the yearly inspection, and most of everything in there was the vehicle code sections are required to be checked.
Questions from this side over here? How about down here?
Yeah, so
yep, we got one.
This is an important thing. So this is actually a CCO, right? And it's not really listed that way. So this is the first reading. This is a public hearing, just for clarification for the public. I have no problem with the item, but just to clarify, it's a city code update. Actually, in this case, it's an addition to an existing code. So it's first reading. It has to be put on the consent agenda in second meeting in January, just for everybody's understanding.
I have a question. Roughly how many taxi permits are there in the city currently?
I want to say there's 3 that have business license within the city. You got the Shasta shuttle, and there's a couple other. And again, like it says in here, this there's a definition. So some of the large vans and stuff that are over, I believe it's 8 passengers. That's going off my head. Please don't quote me. Don't require it through the state law, but anything under 8 passengers requires it.
And then I understand that this is in regards to bringing us up to being in line with state law. Is there any, is this just taxis, or does this have to do, is there anything for like rideshare companies as well?
No, this is specifically for the taxi.
If there's no more questions from council, we'll move on to any public comment. Who wants to talk taxi?
So technically, it's a public hearing for these things? Oh. Announce it that way.
Okay. It's a public hearing? All right, we'll bring it, seeing as there is none, we'll bring it back for council discussion.
Everybody okay with this?
Yep. Anybody have any
I'm going
objections?
to move to approve the first reading of amendment of City Municipal Ordinance Section 5.3 taxicabs to add Section 5.36.025 yearly inspection requirements to the second reading in the second meeting of January.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay, moving on to item 11, our annual review of investment policy, and our finance director, Melissa, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. This is the first time of this for me. I think maybe in the past it's been done as part of the budget process, but it appeared to have not been done for a while. So as I was researching actually the next agenda item about the authority for city funds, I came across this prior resolution for annual review of the investment policy. I didn't specifically change anything in the current investment policy. That's something I'd still like to have further review and probably discussion on, but I did want to get this requirement met. We have some funds from HCD that need to be invested in a account that is accruing interest, and I'd like to get that set up sooner rather than later, actually maybe by tomorrow if possible, and because we've had the funds for a bit of time. So I think within the adoption of the policy and this resolution, I will have the authority to make that transfer of funds into that interest-bearing account.
Excellent. Any questions, Jeffrey? Over here? Okay. We'll take it to public comment. Okay. Bring it back for council discussion.
Ready?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, anybody? Nothing to say? All right.
Comments? Yeah.
Let's do it.
Move to approve resolution CCR-26-30.
01 for 2026.
All right. I'll move to approve resolution CCR-26-01. Nice. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Mount Shasta approving the city's investment policy.
All right. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right. Moving on to agenda item number 12. Resolution establishing authority for city funds, and this is going to once again go back to Melissa.
Thank you. So since I've been here and working with the bank, I've talked to them a couple times about signatures on the check, and they don't actually look at the signatures on the check. So that's a requirement that I found was in a prior resolution, that there was it was recommended to have 3 signatures on each check. I'd like to request that we move to having 1 signature on checks that are under $15,000 and 2 signatures on checks that are over $15,000. I did some research, and that appears to be the state standard. By the time you guys are signing the checks, there should have already been checks and balances put in before that, like following our purchasing policy, making sure we have contracts that describe the services that we're purchasing. So I think it will help us get the checks processed faster as well. So I'd like to hopefully get that recommendation approved.
Excellent. Thank you, Melissa. Questions over here, it looks like?
Just to add some further this to the Finance Committee. Towards the less conservative of how do we make this as electronic as possible? So this is more conservative.
And I would just like to add that the city has a purchasing card program that we use for, basically we've just been using it for travel. I've added a few items onto that program over the last year. In talking with our banking folks, we have an opportunity to earn rebate by using purchasing cards. So I'm hoping that another way to minimize the checks coming for signature is to move towards using purchasing cards, and you would do 1 approval of the bulk purchases that were done on the purchasing card in hopes that we get rebates. So.
Excellent. Is that part of this, or is that'll be in the future? Okay. Well, anything we can get for more rebates, that sounds good. Questions from over here? Jeffrey?
So the
Please.
list of expenditures that we see, that's going to continue, right?
Yes, yeah, it is a requirement that you guys approve through the consent agenda, the checks.
But by the time we're signing them, we've already approved everything anyway. Yeah, so
Absolutely.
we would just be
And
not
actually,
paying people then.
that consent agenda item, again, I've tried to do a little research, it seems so backwards to me, but that consent agenda item is after you've already signed all the checks. So you're kind of consenting to checks you've already approved payments for. But anyways, I will probably do more research on that at some point.
John? Good? No, Jeffrey? Jeffrey, you look like you're thinking about something. Fair enough. In that case, we'll move to public comments. No. All right, well, we'll bring it back for some comments here then. Please.
All of us up here have been here at least a term or two. You know. Oh, thank you.
It took him a while to have me.
Yeah, I thought it was just my ears. The thwarting theft, if you've been on council for a term or two, these checks that come by, you know them. You know who we're paying, and the amounts vary and what it's for, but you get to know everybody. I'm feeling very old-fashioned here in feeling like there should always be at least one city council member signing every check. That's part of our job, is to represent and protect the city. And maybe this is nuts, maybe this is bad thinking on my part, but I'm just I'd just like to see how everybody else feels about it. And I realize that's got to be way more conservative than what may be normal these days, but I just would like to hear.
Might I add that the resolution states that every check must have at least one council member's signature, so it would still require a council member to sign it. So the ones that only have one signature will only be signed by a council member.
Sorry, question though.
Yeah.
So the under $15,000, only one signature, that has to be a city council member?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like we've resolved that issue.
For instance,
Never mind.
We had an example of that just this evening for the public. There was a set of over 15,000 that had two, but three of us still signed it because we haven't approved this. And then three signatures on the under 15,000 when it could have been one post this decision.
Yeah, even the $42 one, 3 signatures.
A couple of them.
Any other
No, I just
comments?
I was hesitant about this. I had somewhat of the same type of feelings that Jeffrey had.
Pause for train.
But there's still one council signature on all those smaller checks. So, and I'm going to defer to the auditor. What are your thoughts?
Well, for full transparency, I haven't audited in nearly a decade, but I think a lot of agencies are moving away from printed checks just because of how much time and effort it takes the staff to prepare them. So we would have to think about another way to have that council look to make sure that what is going out is being approved if and when we move away from signatures. Because I agree that that's one of our jobs, is to look and make sure that those transactions are approved and are, consistent and all of that. So I agree.
Yeah, I absolutely agree as well. And I think in my thinking about how to move forward with these items, I think the purchasing card system that's offered through Tri-Counties Bank that gives us a rebate is the best option, because then, similar to what you sign when you get the U.S. bank card and all the different cards are there, and then you see all the transactions and they all have the receipts, it would be a bundle of that, and it would take, 20 of these smaller $25 checks, and it would be on that, and you would sign that full once-a-month payment. And it would be once a month rather than 3 or 4 times a week. So it really would be a lot more efficient for staff as well as council.
All right, I'm going to move to approve Resolution CCR-26-02, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Mount Shasta establishing signature authority for city funds.
Second. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Sounds like we got it. All right, on to item number 13, the creation of Proposition 64 Fund, and this is our finance director again. We're going for a hat trick.
Yes, thank you. I think that you guys are all very familiar with the Prop 64 funds. We've had them for quite some time, 8 years or so. It's a large grant, over $2 million, I think about $2.6 million. It has been being accounted for in the general fund. And so when I bring you updates about where we're at with the general fund, there's often expenses in there that I haven't requested reimbursement for quite yet. And so it sort of makes that fund look as if it's more expended than it likely is. So I would just like to move to have that be its own fund, similar to what the COPS fund is. We have a fund for that, for the monies that flow in and go directly to the police department. It would be very similar to that. It's reimbursement based, and so I quarterly would do a report and set up a receivable, and those expenses wouldn't be in the general fund. I think with the amount of funding that it is, $600,000 to $700,000 a year, which supports 3 full-time staff through the police department, as well as 2 programs in the community with the high school and the Boys and Girls Club, it would just help us track that better.
Thank you. Questions over here? How about over here? No? All right. How about out there? We got any public comment on this one? All right. Well, then we'll bring it back for discussion amongst council. You guys got anything?
I'm going to move to approve Resolution CCR-26-03, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Mount Shasta approving the establishment of a fund for Proposition 64 grant monies.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Sounds good. Okay, that'll do it. We're going to move on to item number 14, council reports on attendance at any outside meetings, appointed or otherwise. What's that? Oh, okay, sounds good. Anybody, any interesting meetings? No? Okay, nothing to report. Yeah. All right, moving on to item number 15, future agenda items. It looks like we have the ones existing here. We have a master fee schedule review, which we are working on, the senior snow removal program. It sounds like it'll be early February, and then the combination of wastewater and drainage funds. Would anybody like anything else?
Yeah, so I'm just going to push for making the wastewater item, put it at the top of the list, if possible.
Yeah. I've got some initial research on it, and I had a preliminary conversation with Charles.
It is a Prop 68, right?
No.
It's not. I'll bring information on it.
We don't have to go through that whole procedure, right? Okay. All right, but we're going to prioritize that. I'm asking it for it to be prioritized, I guess, that's all.
I mean,
it's messy.
We'll have it on the
next. It's messy over there, Rockfellow.
Yeah. Do you need a second, or are we going to wait?
No,
okay.
it's, But the other one, did we formally end the Library Expansion Committee, ad hoc committee? Did we formally do that?
We disbanded it.
Yeah, it's official?
It's the committee that never dies. But yes,
Yeah.
We put a stake in it, I believe.
Okay, well, if we didn't, can you bring it to us as a consent agenda item? Just get that officially over. There's no chance of having another one.
Okay. Any future agenda items over here? How about over this way? Okay. In that case, I guess, see y'all in 2 weeks. And yep, we're going to gavel.
Oh, it's yours.